So trying to get this up and running. All right. Alright, sorry folks, I am trying to get this up and running again. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties again. Give me 1 second. All right. Sorry folks, I'm just trying to make sure all the cameras and the microphones are all working just fine. Looks like my microphones are not working, so I need to figure out what is going on again. Oh, so you guys can hear me. Awesome. Is the video good? Is it super choppy? What's going on? Awesome. All right. Well, let me get a drink of water here and we will get started. All right, cool. All right, let me stretch a little bit. All right. So I wasn't able to do Sunday's show. I was on the road visiting family and driving home, hydroplaning pretty much for 3.5 hours from Dallas. Except pretty much rained the whole way, and learned that when I got my tires fixed last week, they did not rotate the tires to the front, and so I was pretty much running on bald tires on the front the whole way home. So that was quite an experience. Okay, so today I've got all the models completed. I'm going to show you a couple of the models here. I went ahead and got one complete squad, all done up with suppressors, as you can see. So there's 2 guys. Here's a couple more. So what I did was get a full 10-man squad, all with suppressors. All of them have been customized in some way. This guy in particular, he's supposed to have a bolter underneath his armpit. I didn't want to do it. Just make him look a little different. Everybody still has their customary extra pouches and little knickknacks just to kind of help enhance the model. Here's a couple. Here's another one. So we're doing good there. And I started doing a little work here. It's a little bad right now. But this is the guy that we went ahead and added on multiple suppressors for all of his weapons. So I started with a little bit of green stuff here. I've got to go back in and clean this up. I'm actually going to use a Dremel tool to clean up the edges and smooth that out. And it'll all come together when I actually sit down and paint it. So everybody's done, at least that 10-man squad. I got 10 more guys to do, but that's going to take like a heartbeat. I'll do that before I come into work tomorrow. So what I'm going to do tonight is, before I start painting, and I know I'm 8 days into this whole 30-day challenge, and some people will be like, well, you only got 22 days now to paint 65 models plus basing. I'm not worried. I figured at the very least, as long as I'm hitting 22 models this week, 22 models next week, and 21 models by the end of the 4th week, I'm good. Actually, I'll end up speeding up, especially with these infiltrators. Since I've got 40 of the infiltrators, I'm actually going to speed up real quick after this first week. So what you guys are going to see on Wednesday is I'm actually going to show you the batch painting process. I'm going to have 5 guys already completed. I'll have 5 guys in a prep stage, and then 5 guys that have not been messed with whatsoever. That way you guys can see the different processes, and I can jump from one batch of 5 guys to another while one is drying if I put a wash or something on. So I can kind of keep that process going forward. And with that, I'm going to try to, after I get every day, my goal is really to hit about 5 infiltrators a day. If I can do that, I can have them all done before next week, which leaves just suppressors, eliminators, and the characters, and then the basing. I figured for basing, I'm kind of working on a really, I think, an interesting basing for these guys. I'm holding off on it just in case I can't pull it off. And it's going to take about 3 days for that. And it's going to take about 2 or 3 days for the shoulder pads. And some of you guys will be kind of questioning, like, why the heck is it going to take you 3 days to do 65 shoulder pads? I'm attempting a technique I've never tried before. I don't know if anybody's ever tried this. So we're going to see if this works. And I'm going to wait until that last week because I want you guys to see this whole process. But this week, what you guys are going to mainly see is me knocking out 20 infiltrators and 3 suppressors. The suppressors will be on Sunday. Today is going to be a prep day, and then Wednesday this week at 8 o'clock, I will be showing you the batch painting of the infiltrators. So let's go ahead and get started. I like to do a test model before I dive deep in. This allows me to take all these thoughts I've got in my head of how I want the paint scheme to go and apply it to the model before I get knee deep in all these models. It's something I really suggest you guys do. You don't have to try like advanced painting techniques on your actual models. It's just getting the paint on the model to see if that the vision you've got in your head it's actually translates well to the actual model. Excuse me, I'll be drinking a lot of water. I drank a lot of Monsters today because I've been really tired after that drive getting home at 1 o'clock in the morning. So today we are going to practice on this infiltrator. This is where I'm going to start at, and this is what we'll build up on. Now, he's already been primed with standard Mechanicum gray. I really like this gray. It's a nice, it's not too dark, it's not too light. It's really kind of like the perfect in-between for me. And considering that the Red Scorpions use their primary armor is gray with varying shades. Some pictures show them with a dark gray, almost charcoal. Some show them with a really light gray. Others show kind of in between with a lot of wear and tear. So we're going to go somewhere in between with some wear and tear. especially since I'm going to be using dry brushing on these. Now, I think dry brushing is probably one of the best techniques for people that are not in the hobby to have these masterpiece Picasso and I don't know, Monet style paintings. They want just something that looks good, that's on the battlefield, and it's going to get people to go, ooh, ah, you paint really well. And that's what we're going to be doing here. So I'm going to answer a question, and I'm going to post this on Facebook, and then we'll get right into this. So excuse me just 1 second. All right. All right, here we go. Just get some people on. One thing I've learned is that social media, and you've really got to pretty much pimp yourself out. People need to see what you're doing, and they need to see all the little things that you're doing, and you need to like hitting up on Instagram, which is on my next thing. Eventually I want to move from YouTube to just strictly to Twitch for these videos. And because Twitch seems to be the best format going forward. YouTube looks like they're starting to come up with a couple things to combat Twitch and Discord, but I don't know how it's going to work out. But at least for this series, it's going to be on YouTube and Twitch. Sorry, Twitch people, I can't respond to both you and the YouTube players or watchers at the same time. I will try to go back and watch the videos for those of you that are commenting on that, and see if I can add some comments later. So I apologize. So let's get started. So this model, I need to start with, normally I would just go in and dry brush everything with this armor, since the majority of this armor is going to remain gray. But in this case, there's some areas this dry brush is going to actually serve two purposes. Now, before I do this, I'm going to apply, and I know this is not the best palette. I forgot to bring some wax paper today. So I'm pulling out some Abaddon Black. I think it's probably one of the best black paints out there. I've not tried yet Monument Hobbies. They're the people that have partnered up with Creature Caster. It looks like their stuff is really good, but I didn't get it, so I've only got 30 days. So I'm going to first apply some black to all the areas that are like these little, as you can see right here on these Phobos armor, they've got like this ribbing here that seems very similar to the same ribbing that you find behind the shoulder or the kneecaps and in the pelvic area that separates the leg armor. So we're going to just get a nice clean layer of black there. Like here's another area. We're just going to get a little bit of black there. It's okay if I do a little bit of an over paint, or I'll say probably overspill, because I can come back and clean that up later. We're not going for perfection right now. We just want to get it in there. I mean, we don't want to make a mess of the thing, but we want to, at the very least, get the majority of the paint on there. And if we get it over a little bit, that's okay, because we brought some standard Mechanicum gray. We both have it's the same color that I used as the base coat, and I used what they call rattle can, or the spray can. And I'm going to keep applying this black here in these, wherever this ribbing is. I'm not sure what they call, but it's that flexible joints underneath, or in between all the joints. Now, some people are like, why are you even bother painting underneath there? The reason why I worry about painting all the parts is if you're going for best painted and you both have or best appearance on a model, and both you and another guy you both have a really outstanding looking army, but so you guys both did a very good job, and it's come down to you guys have a tie score, and it's somewhat I think the people over at Slow Fuse Gaming called it paint porn. And I don't mean porn. I'm just talking about something that really helps stick out in your mind. And in this case, it's hitting these little spots underneath that most people tend to ignore because you don't see it all the time. So if you take that time to get that little bit that most people don't bother with, it could very well separate you from being second place or first place. So as you guys are seeing, I'm still hitting that black inside of the those little nooks and crannies. Really wish I would have brought some wax paper because this paint's going to dry out pretty quick. Now, this is probably going to be one of the spots where I'm going to get just a little, I'm going to get a little bit of an overpaint. That's okay, because that little overspill there or overpaint, I'm just going to go back over with some standard Mechanicum gray here in a moment and clean that up. So there's this little spot right here behind the heel, because this Phobos armor, if I understand the lore correctly, it's a version of the Mark X armor. That's what all the Primaris guys have. And this is the much more agile armor, that agile version where they strip down a lot of the armor plates so they have greater mobility. So there we are. Got all these little black areas. Now that you can see right here, I'm hoping, there's this little ribbed area. Still a flex point. It's like a little weird triangle. See, I got a little bit of overpaint there, but that's okay. A happy little accident. We're going to clean them up really good. Perfect. So get right underneath there. Perfect. There we go. Got some black on there. Got some black underneath the chest piece there. As I'm looking here, he's got, if you can see right here, he's got a little bit flex, or that ribbing right there in the joint and underneath the arm. We're going to go and get that. We're going to go ahead and get this spot right here in the nook of his elbow. And I'm going to try to go slow. I always double check to see if I double check the other elbow, the other parts, to see if I can get it. Other parts I like to get sometimes because, like I said, that's that painter porn is right here underneath the armor plate on his thumb. It's a little area that has that flexible ribbing right there. So I wanted to get that and get that over here, because just a little bit extra that may or may not help me win an award. All right. So it looks like all those joints, oh, nope, one little spot. One little spot. Right, let's see. Try to make it into camera there. Perfect. All right, so I'm going to try to get that right in there. It's okay if I get that little bit of overpaint, because we're going to clean that up here promptly. Make sure everything's good underneath here with his crotch, because we want to make sure his crotch is nice and painted. I know it sounds weird, but trust me, you want to win that award. Okay, so before I move on to the next part of the black, I want to go ahead and this next part can be really easy. So while I'm letting the rest of this dry, I want to go back and clean up this overpaint real quick before I go to the next part. That way, this is about a timing issue. So while this standard Mechanicum gray is drying on these cleanup parts, I can go ahead and tackle the last bit of black. And by the time that this is dry, I'll be ready to go ahead and start the dry brushing. So it's something that you'll kind of learn or pick up on, or you might not even care about. But it's a good thing to kind of get get a rhythm to how you're going to paint, so you can kind of time everything, especially when you're going to be doing anything like some speed painting like I'm going to be doing over these next few weeks. And right now, like I said, all I'm doing is going in, cleaning up just a little bit here and there. Any parts that got played over, like right here. Is it important? Probably not, because that backpack is going to go right on here. You're probably not going to see that, but I'll know it's there now. So I went ahead and just brought him in line with the rest of his happy little friends. All right, so coming back over, we know that I had not a lot, but did have a little bit of a overpaint right there on the inside of the thigh. And right here in his little crotch guard is a weird little super armored jock strap. So perfect. We're not at the dry brush stage, so if anybody's just getting on, they're like, this isn't dry brushing, this isn't batch painting. I'm not there yet. This is my test model. Once again, this is just to see how the paint is going to play on. So what I just did is just cleaned up any of that overpaint, and you can see it's all nice and cleaned up now. Kind of blend that in a little bit. There we go. Clean something up there. Okay, so that's done. Okay. Ooh, 9:30. My objective is to be done with this test model by 10:30. I'm a little bit behind here, but we're gonna pick up the pace here in just a second. So I forgot to bring some medium. I like to have some mixing medium, like the Lamian medium, on hand, because I think it's a great tool to have. But this, like I said, this is just a test model. It's okay. So the reason why I was waiting to finish up the black is because this black is not going to be affecting the dry brush part. So all these guns have a little bit of a weapon casing, and I don't mind lead belcher in just a bit. So it's okay here to get a little sloppy. I mean, it's still good to try to maintain your control, because practice makes perfect. The more control you have with your paints and your brush and everything, the better you are. Practice makes perfect. They say that for a reason. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to try to go relatively slow here, just for your all's sakes. But this is just a test model. I'll say that several times. It's just a test model. And usually when I do long drives, like driving back from Dallas, that's when I come up with the idea of how I'm going to paint this stuff. So normally, I'm not going to get to it just yet, I would paint all these little pouches and holsters and stuff. I'd go with like a standard brown, build up the brown from dryad bark to Mournfang brown, and then do some dry brushing or layering in there, some washes to get this rich leather look. But we're not going to be doing that with these guys. They're going to get something special. All right, so here we go. This is the weapon casing. Most of the weapon casing. If any of you guys play video games like, oh boy, I don't know. Oh, I did not want to do that. That's all right. We'll just do this. We'll just blend it all in, and it'll look right. If you've played any games that allow you to customize the skin, that's pretty much what I'm doing here. I'm just giving the weapon its own colored skin here. If you played the Division 2, you know that you can get some really cool looking skins for your weapons, some really gaudy ones. We're not going to be going with gaudy. We are actually just going to go with a simple black, because these are tactical and they're not going to be running around with weird urban I don't know, youth uprising or like Coca-Cola brand skins or anything. I don't know what I'm talking about, but you guys probably know what I'm talking about. All right, so the majority of that is black. All right. Hey, Clint, how you doing, buddy? Feels like I just saw you. All right, So just real quick, just double checking. Now these scopes, oof, I'm not sure what to do here. You know what? We are going to go ahead and this main scope right here, we're going to, it's casing, we're going to go ahead and get it, give it that black. And we're going to do the same thing with the majority of this scope. Now, these guns have way too many scopes. I feel like in the 41st millennia, or 41st millennia, that's what they're in. They would come up with a single integrated scope. They wouldn't need to have 3 scopes, and what I'm thinking is a rangefinder of some sort, all on one rifle. I mean, I get it, these guys are superhuman strong and whatnot, but I mean, bulk is bulk. All right, so all I've done here, there we go, get it up a little closer, is put black on the casing, both the guns, the ribbing inside everything. Yes, ACOGs for the win. So I think that's what this is right here on top. He's got it looks like, as I'm looking at these rifles and the artwork, he's got an ACOG on top. He's got maybe like a, looks like it's like a ×8 or maybe a ×12 scope here on the side for some reason. And then I'm thinking this is a laser dot or like a rangefinder or something. So we're going to be painting those appropriately. So right now, that is it. Oh, you know what? We got one more spot I'm going to do with some black. He's got these handy dandy goggles up here. We are going to, we're not too worried about the overpaint. We're going to go ahead and get some black on his goggles. He's got all sorts of little sensors and whatnot, doodads and stuff on here, but we're going to go ahead and just get black on those and try not to get those lenses. Screw it. We'll go ahead and get the lenses. We'll fix those later because time is going to be of the essence. I'm going to go ahead and get a little black inside that little mouth deal right there. And I know it looks, yeah, it's sloppy right now, but that's okay. We're not going for perfection yet. This is just the stage where I'm just kind of prepping the model. Okay, so let me clean my brush. And I know you guys have seen me sucking on these brushes to get that point. I don't twist the brush. Using my own natural spit, probably not the best thing, but it's what I'm using. Okay, so I got 2 different types of dry brushes here. The theory is I want to go in and this particular model, sorry, I keep dropping it. I want to dry brush the entire thing. And I don't care. I'm going to try to keep it off the weapons, but this is the reason why I went ahead and did the black, because the over spill from the dry brushing will hit these ridges on the in the joints. That will help reveal that texture a little bit more. So it's kind of a cheat way of building that, well, building up that texture, giving that model a little bit more depth. So if you've never dry brushed before, the idea is I'm going to be using a monster brush because I need to see if this is going to be the most effective tool, or do I want to use a smaller dry brush. For this one, we're going to use this Wargamer, the Army Painter's Vehicle and Terrain brush. So this is my test model. I think this is going to be good. So since I use that standard Mechanicum gray, and it's this darker gray, I'm going to be using this lighter gray as my initial dry brush. This is the Administratum gray. Let's see. I'm checking to see everybody. Okay, just checking everybody's messages there. There's a lot of chat going on there. So a lot of this is going to seem counterintuitive. Whenever you're dry brushing, have like a paper towel, or if you got an old t-shirt that you're not wearing anymore, use that. They're really ideal. So the idea behind dry brushing, if you don't know already, is you want to get some paint on your brush. You want to get a good amount. Then, and this is why the dry paints from Games Workshop works really well. I just don't have the colors that I want. And I really prefer using the paint. It's not the most efficient use. The paint that they have is probably the best for dry brushing. So I'm going to go back and forth like this because I want to get as much of the paint off as possible. I'm even going to kind of, you don't want to like ruin your brushes, try to go with that one direction, but you want to get a lot off. So I'll check my hand real quick. It's probably a little too much. I'll even use my hand as a palette. All right, here we go. This is the easy part-ish. So you want to kind of go in one motion or one direction. You can do some cross-hatching with the models, but it's going to be on a case-by-case basis. In this case, initially, I just want to go ahead and dry brush in one direction. Yeah, it's still a little too much here. Let me wipe some of this off here. It's still a little too bright. The dry brushing, all you're doing is just kind of gently brushing. Oops, sorry, I'm trying to keep it on screen here. Gently brushing the model, and you just want to really hit those edges because it helps make stuff pop. It really helps bring that 3D aspect of that model out. And you don't have to put too much pressure on this. It does not require much. I'm barely wiping it across there. Some places I get a little too much. That's a great thing with the dry brushing is you can actually go back through and wipe some of it off with your finger as long as you do it relatively quick. So, as you can kind of see here in the ribs, those ribs are popping out. You can see the dry brush lines on the there in the arm. I'm going to go ahead and, just because it'll be easy for me to pick out the details, I'm going to dry brush those goggles a little bit. Because I can go back in and clean them up. And plus, this guy's got like a neck gaiter on underneath there, so I want to go ahead and get that. So, as you can see, I'll switch different sides of my brush because I want to make sure I'm getting a good coverage. So like this spot right here on the shoulder, you can see there's too much. This is okay for me because I'm going to go in and the inside of that shoulder is going to be black. That's the reason why I didn't paint it black, because I knew I'd be doing, I'd be splashing over. But as you can see, that paint has hit all those areas. Some areas a little too much. Just go wipe with my fingers, go back in there. Perfect. I mean, it's not perfect, but it's good enough for government work, as I like to say. And this also kind of helps me see where, see some of the spots that I want to go back in and enhance with different paints or different colors. All right, so I think I'm satisfied with this. Yeah, this is good. This is just, like I said, this is a test. And after this 30-day challenge, I'm going to go back in and clean these models up. I am not going to dull coat them at the end because I'm going to want to go back in and well, spruce them up. I actually might, on some of these areas, go back in and do some wet blending over over the work I already did. How am I going to do that? I don't know. So let's get underneath here with this butt plate because we want to make sure that people see that little ribbing down there. Oh no! I did not bring my super glue in. Oh, party foul. Okay, that's all right. That is all right. So the last thing I'll do, so I don't mess up this model, is I'm going to go ahead and just leave that black off of there for now. Gosh darn it. I don't want to run in there and get any paint unless Ronnie and them are watching and they could bring me in some super glue, maybe. Okay, so dry brushing's done. That was easy. I would say hold off on washing off your brush if you're going to be dry brushing a lot of models, which I'm going to be doing on Wednesday for you guys. Because you're going to want to use that same brush and have that extra paint on there so you can go back and forth. All right, but in this case, I'm actually, you know what? I'm not okay with that. We're going to try something. I'm going to, for the very first time, as soon as I remove the seal, use my Monument Hobby paint. As soon as I can pop this seal on here and not get it all over myself. All right, so we're going to use just a little bit of this because I'm going to try something a little daring. All right, we're going to see how this works. So I'm going to go ahead and wash off this larger dry brush because I don't need it. I'm done with doing the large area there. And because of time thing, I will not get to showing you guys probably how to do the suppressor, but the process is really going to be the same. So let me grab my little dry brush because I need to test this out. It's the Army Painter's dry brush. Never used it. But I'm going to give it a try. Kevin, I like the model holders from Games Workshop. I think they're really good. I just forgot to bring it. I did not put enough super glue since these models are going to be taken off of their bases after I'm done painting them to put on my custom bases. I put just minimal super glue on, and I think I put a little too minimal super glue on. So what I'm doing right here, and I don't think this is going to be the right color, but we're going to try it anyways. I use the white ivory from Creature Caster, or from Monument Hobbies. We're just going to do, this is just going to be very light. Just kind of lightly go over here and there, just little spots that I think I'm going to want to see an enhancement on later. I'm using some techniques here, and this, like I said, this is not really tight. This is me just kind of going through and testing this out for you guys, and of course for myself, because I want to see what's going to be the best technique. And it looks like this brush might be the better brush for dry brushing these guys on a larger scale. The tank brush there, probably not what I want to use. So this is why I do a test model. All right, so let's see here. So you can see dry brushing is done. There's a lot of cleanup area. If I can with this wet brush, I might try to wipe some of that off there. All right. Yeah, good enough. All right, so that takes care of the dry brushing part. So something to think about is how you want to paint these models in stages. So what I already showed you was kind of like the stages. Primary color, which I like to do. Some people like aerosols, some people like using airbrush, primer, or paint on primer. Whatever works for you, use it. I personally like the Games Workshop's or Citadel brand of colored primers. Like this one was standard Mechanicum gray. I prefer that over everything else. That's a personal preference. If you like to use Rust-Oleum, man, just use Rust-Oleum. I don't recommend it, but use it. Or Krylon. I'm not saying go buy Krylon, but if you prefer it, use it. All right. So I like to do things in stages. That's why I did the black. Then I saved the dry brushing after. So the next step I want to hit is, because this is going to be a little bit of longer dry time, every area that needs Nuln oil, or not Nuln oil, but lead belcher, I'm going to go ahead and hit first. Because there's a couple areas on here that are going to require a little bit longer attention. And the metallics, either they dry really fast or they take a little bit of time to dry. It's a weird, I rarely get in between with these. So just be on the safe side because I need to wash the model. I'm going to go ahead and apply the lead belcher right now. This is my primary go-to for all my base metallics on guns. I just think it's the superior metallic. Some people might argue. That's fine. You're allowed to have your own opinion on this, even if it is wrong. So earlier, and I'm just kidding, it can be right. I got a little too much black on. I went ahead and colored it in. But I want to do this because the casing for this starts up above this. I want to go ahead and get that. And there's this little niche right there that the barrel goes down. I want to get that little, I don't know if it's part of the gas vent or what that is. I want to go ahead and get that taken care of. And I try to stay on the same side before moving on. So right now we're just getting the base coat for this. All right, as you can see, just getting the base coat for the lead belcher on. Now this thing, I think it's a laser dot, and that's what I'm going to treat it as. It's laser dot. He's here with his friends. He's having a good time. So we're going to go ahead, and he's going to end up being a little darker than that all this metal is. So now these scopes, I'm going to try to, it'll really pop out when I put here. They got these little bits in between. You can, and hopefully you can see. It's really hard to see without having the model right in your face. But there's little gaps in between the different components of the scopes. That's all I'm applying the paint to. I'm going to come over here. There's this dial or ridge or something on this scope, just so I can kind of give this a little bit more life, kind of like some happy Bob Ross trees. I'm going to go ahead and paint that a little bit. I'm going to leave this little black dot right there and there. I'll clean that up. So we're back over here on the other side of the barrel. Whatever this little thing is, this little groove, 2 meters wide, big enough that you can hit womp rats in. Let's see here. The barrel is getting all painted up. Now there's this little thing right down here where they would hook their, oh gosh, their sling. Haha, sling too. I'm going to go ahead just to give it a little bit more flavor to this weapon. I'm going to go ahead and paint that because I think it's pretty. And it needs that barrel needs a friend down there, so we're going to go ahead and paint that up. All right, so here we're painting on the back side of the gun. Make sure this back side is done all the way around. All right, so like I said earlier, I painted a little too much of that casing black, so we're cleaning that up. See how that is. Now this is still too bright. I've seen some people take their models and they will take brighter colors like Runefang Steel or Ironbreaker or Stormhost, even Stormhost Silver, and they'll paint their guns those colors. And if you want to do that, fine, but going with that brighter color without building up from dark to light, it really makes it look kind of fake. I know it's fake, it's a plastic miniature, but you're missing out on all that detail. So my recommendation, start with lead belcher and then layer up with those brighter colors. I don't have it here with me, and I don't mind missing out on this step right now, but I will be using Necron Compound on most of this metallics. All right, so it's time to go ahead and take a look at any other parts where I need a metallic. Let's see here. These, let's see, can you see the pins for these grenades and the little spoon here? I'm assuming it's a spoon for that grenade. I'm assuming this top one is your fragmentation grenade. This bottom one, I thought originally it was a crack grenade, but looking at one of the earlier models, there's one where he's like, in his right hand, he's throwing down a smoke grenade. So I think that one is a smoke grenade. This guy seems to have a lot of grenades. He must really, well, he's a frontline dude. Infiltrator, he needs extra grenades. I don't, oh, there's the go. There's the pin. And it's okay right now to kind of get a little spillover, because I'm going to be painting those grenades up later. There's a little strap right here. I'm going to go ahead and just paint that silver for right now, and underneath there. I don't know if I'm going to keep that, but it's easier to get that now instead of worry about it later. So we got the pistol. We're going to knock that out real quick. I need to speed up my time here. I don't want to be too late for you guys. So remember, this is just me doing a test model. You can always catch the video later if you've got to go to bed or you got to go to work or anything. So for when I'm working on this pistol, just getting the lead belcher on here. If the rest of this series is going to kick off every Wednesday and at 8 o'clock Central, and then on Sundays at 5:30 right now, just for this 30-day thing, or at least every other Sunday. I'm sorry, every other Sunday at 5:30. For some people, that 5:30 is too early. Those alternating Sundays, which should only be 2 now, or 1 now, or 2, should be 2. I will look at pushing it back to maybe 7 for you guys. I run a very intense RPG on every other Sunday, so I can't miss that. I'm applying a little bit of lead belcher. I kind of messed up here. I'm not sure what I was doing. I always lost thought. So I'm just painting these little hoses. Looks like he's got maybe a comm thing here. Directional mic, I'm not sure. Webcam, GoPro, whatever that is on the side of his helmet. We're just going to go ahead and paint that. Okay, so it looks like I'm going to hold off on this trinket. I hate these things like a passion. I mean, who takes charms and trinkets with them into battle? So frustrating. Oh, I got one more grenade back here. Let me take the rest of this lead belcher. We're going to apply it right there. And it's okay that we got over on the grenade. That right there is a crack grenade. So I knew he would have one. All right, so lead belcher's done. So we're going to let this sit and rest. Check my time. Ooh, goodness. I'm going really slow. Well, let's get to the coup de grace here, or whatever the really cool part. Kevin, today is the first time I used the paint, and I've only used it to dry brush. So I don't have much experience, except for we are about ready to use it for actual painting, a different color. So you're going to see it, and I will let you know. Okay, so red scorpions, they usually have this yellow trim on their shoulders. They'll have a yellow stripe down the center of their helmet, or the little ridge thing that's on all the Space Marine helmets. And then if they have a chest eagle, or the skull with eagle wings, or the double-headed aquila, that will be yellow, like a real bright yellow. I've seen some people paint it as gold. I think it's supposed to be yellow. I'll check the lexicanum later. So what I'm going to be doing is, you can see that this guy does not have a chest eagle. He's got a skull. He doesn't have full-on shoulder pads. That's a shame. I'm a little upset by that. But what we're going to be doing is just doing the yellow here, like a regular shoulder pad. We're going to be doing skull like if he had the full chest piece. And what I'm going to do different, so this can still have that feel of being a red scorpion, is I'm going to take that same yellow, and we're going to apply it to all these holsters and all these little pouches here. He's got 1, 2, 3. Then he's got this strap right here for his pistol, and then he's got these straps on the chest and right here. Now this is going to be a much more muted yellow. And then I'm going to darken it up, and I'm going to mute it a little bit more. That's just the way I'm looking at it. It's kind of like still worn leather, but kind of like that dyed leather that you see some people. So it's not going to be gaudy like I'm going to some Garth Brooks concert with the big yellow cowboy boots and yellow leather chaps. I don't know, but I don't know if that's a thing. If you country folks might be able to tell me that. Yeehaw. All right, so what I'm going to start with is golden brown. I know it's not yellow, but I'm going to use this as my base. So I'm going to put a little bit here. This is oh, here we go. Here we go. It's coming. It's coming. There we go. I like this yellow. So it looks good. So here we go. We're going to actually, this is my base. Like I said, got it on camera. I'm not too worried right now about the over paint. What's going on here? Okay. Not too worried about the overpaint right now. I just want, as long as it doesn't get on the rest of the gray. And I know this doesn't look too much yellow. It's more of like a yellow brown. It's really light, and that's okay. This is my foundation. For you ladies that may be watching or listening in while your man is watching, or if you're painting and your man is listening in and rolling his eyes, it's a good foundation to kind of build up your colors. And this is why I was talking earlier about using dryad bark as the base. It's a dark brown. I think, no, I'm sorry, not dryad bark, Rhinox hide. And then building up after that, you put a layer of Mournfang brown down. And see, I got a little overspill there. That's okay. This is all going to get tightened up once that black settles in there. All right, so we're going to keep applying this. And this might end up being a really bad idea. I don't know yet. But we're going to see. And we're going for something that's going to stand out. That's going to make people wonder and be maybe a little surprised or happy at the bold choices I did. That right there, got a little bit of overpaint onto the pistol grip for his other pistol. This guy likes to use pistols. He's got two. One's a holdout pistol. The other one's a heavy bolt pistol. Just in case, so we're just kind of trying to be very careful here. And like I said, I know that this right here is bright, but we're going to dull it up. So we're not too worried about it. And I know they're all commando-y, but it's Warhammer 40,000 where you have guys running around the battlefield in bright blue armor. So I'm not too worried about anything. It's like they like to show their colors. These colors never run. So we're applying that to the little strap right there. We're going to get down. Be very careful not to get it into the armor. We're not worried about where I'm hitting the pistol grip right now because that pistol grip is going to get cleaned up. So we're still applying this. This is not a pretty yellow, but we're not going for a pretty yellow. This is a desert, what is it? Desert brown. Like I said, this is a good, for me, it's a good basis to build up my yellow on. Now here I want to be a little careful because I don't want to mess up my grenade pin. So we're going to go ahead and finish up these this leg strap here. I'm not sure what this is called, but holster strap, hip holster, thigh holster. I'm sure one of you guys, and I'm sorry if I dipped down because I started concentrating. I used to stick my tongue out while I was painting. Then a cute girl called me on it, so I stopped doing it. She thought it looked stupid, and so I got really self-conscious about it. Okay, so yellows are done. That is not a pretty... Oh no, I got a little bit over. That's all right. This is definitely not a pretty yellow. That's all right. We are going to while this is drying, we're going to target another area. Then we're going to come back over and we're going to wash. Now, you guys might not see everything that I'm doing here. Like I said, this is a test run, and this may backfire. And this gives me a good chance to get a good feel for what I want to do. Now, if I had some medium here, I think this would end up being a little bit better, but hey, whatever. Make sure that I've got that. You know, I don't know why I'm being too careful here, because I still got to get the black over there. There we go. All right. So, base coat. Oh, sorry if I got that off screen. Trying to center this. I'll try to remember to center this here. So I got these yellows going on for my pouches. I know that's those are you kind of keying in. It's a little odd to do that, but I'm trying to tie in the whole nature of the oh, and I forgot my greens. Man, I really forgot some paints today, but that's okay. That is okay. We got a lot of work to do here, and I only got about 25 more minutes to just get this test run going here. So while that is drying, what we're going to work on is, let's do this. We're going to go ahead and start with that laser designator. I know that the laser light is usually like usually people paint them up red. I'm going to go with the green because I want this model to pop a little bit more. It doesn't have to make sense because it's the year 40,000 something. So with this laser designator, while this yellow is drying, we're just going to actually, I intended, and I'll probably do it in my follow-up models, is start with a darker color. I want to start with Wog Green, or Wog Flesh, sorry, and then I want to build up from there. I don't have that luxury right now because I forgot the stupid paint. So I'm actually just going to go in with Moot Green, which is one of the top colors, or the highlight colors I'd be using. But that's all right. I don't mind. So we don't want to cover completely. We just want a little bit of green in there. Just enough. Now, why that's still wet, I'm actually going to take a little bit of this white ivory and a little bit of the green. I'm going to lighten that up. And Moot Green is already kind of a bright color, but I want to mute it just a little bit. So the way I'm looking at, I'm not going to do too much of light object source lighting, but my idea is that they're in a corridor, there's light shining down or from the side. So I'm going to try to, without a scope here, I'm going to have to look at some picture scope, make sure I'm on the right track, but I'm going to put, while this is still a little wet, I'm just going to put just a little bit in one corner. It's kind of hard to see here. A little bit in one corner. You can probably see that bright point. Then I'm going to take a little bit more of that ivory. We want even more white, and we're going to just do a little more dot off to the other side. Just kind of, it didn't work as well as I wanted to because I'm not using the right size brush. I've got this Psycho brush from Army Painter, but the idea is just to see how this will layer up. I'm going to go in with actually just a little bit of white and just do dot of white. Can't see it real well because of the camera, but it's layered up. So basically with these lenses, I want to layer them up and make them a little bit brighter. Start with a darker color, leave that darker color in the recesses, and just layer in the center your brighter colors, and then build up from there, whichever direction the light is coming from. That's kind of what I did there, and that's okay. I'm not going for super perfection on this model. This is, like I said, this is my test model. All right, have a good night, Kevin. So we'll see how this plays out later. All right, so that yellow, man, that monument paint dries pretty. It's almost dry, so that's cool. We're liking that. But I'm seeing I might have needed to put a different base color down. Something to think about. And if this yellow on with the pouches and stuff does not work for me, I'm just going to, on the follow-up models, I'm just going to actually just slap down the brown and just suck it up and go with it. But it's looking okay. So the next one I want to do is that ACOG, the rifle on top. Now, the way I'm going to look at that ACOG is it's also probably like a red dot sight, or it's got an infrared sensors or something on it. So I'm going to start with just a little bit of a darker orange or darker red. Now what I'm using is the burnt red. This is the paint from Monument Hobbies. It's a very dark red, as you can see, almost like a corn red. Got a little too much, but that's okay because we're actually going to paint the crack grenade this color. So here's the ACOG scope. It's out of ring. Now this one, we want to kind of get as much full coverage over the lens as possible. And we also want, if it's got a backside, which this does, go ahead and get that as well. Now while I've got this red up and I'm letting that dry, I want to go ahead and hit that crack grenade right there. I've seen in the past that crack grenades have been red in color, green for frag. The Melta bombs have been like a blue. So I'm going to try to stick to that theme. I like that idea. Those of you that have been in the military, you know you want to keep those colors the same. So you know that whatever grenade Billy Bob has, you know that that is a crack grenade or a frag grenade, and you're not going to think it's a smoke grenade. Toss it to the side. So we're actually going to add some ideas about these goggles, but what we're going to do with these goggles is real quick, we're just going to go ahead and put that dark red there because we're going to build up. Perfect. All right. Now, we got that red going. I'm trying to go fast here because I've got 11 minutes or 19 minutes. And remember, this is just my test model. So this next red is a big difference between the burnt red and, well, this one is Blood Pyrrole Red from Monument Hobbies. Just for kicks or shits and grins, we're going to, excuse my language, we're going to mix the two together. And we're going to actually apply that first, just because I think it might be a good idea to have a nice build up there. We're going to do the same thing with the eyeballs. Can you see eyeballs? Perfect. And crack grenade's a little wet, but I don't care. We're going to apply that, get a little wet on wet action. There we go. Perfect. All right, so that yellow, I think the yellow is good enough. So I'm not sure if this is the right action. I was thinking I probably want to use Seraphim Sepia, but once again, I forgot to bring it. So we're actually going to be using Reikland Flesh Wash on this. We're going to see how this works. This paint, it's still wet. Gosh darn it. This might be dry enough. Yeah, so, all right, so some of that paint is still wet. That's okay. And I don't mind a little bit of overspill right here because these shoulder pads are going to be black. So I like that color change right there. And it looks like some of this some of this paint actually might be totally dry. Unlike that, I should have known that pouch looked a little soggy. So we're going to apply this. You can see how, you know, if you're not, yeah, it's still a little wet. Gosh darn it. That's all right. Test model anyways. Test model, test model, test model. All right. We're done messing with the yellow. I'm kind of screwing that up there. So with these smoke grenades, oh, you know what? I forgot a lens. We're actually going to, this main scope, getting sidetracked here. This main scope, we are going to, we're going to go with a gray, and then we're going to build up from there. We're going to take some of that white. We're going to mix those two together. And we're just going to kind of mix it over that. And mix it over that. Alright. Man, I'm really upset about that. That yellow is not dry yet. Should have been dry right now. Very upset. So we got a little bit of time to wait for that to dry. I guess I can go ahead and... Oh boy, man, that was disappointing. Sorry about that, folks. But this is the nature of doing test models. So I'm going to go ahead and apply some flesh here. And we're just going to... I just want to see how this Cadian flesh, the Cadian flesh stone actually applies to the gray. Normally I like to kind of build up, but I've never applied it to gray. And it looks like there's a reason why you want to layer, because it's a little ashy looking. So what I'm going to have to do with that that skin tone is I'm going to have to layer it up. Once this dries, I'm going to have to do a second layer. Doing a second layer while it's still wet, not that great of an idea, because it doesn't. You need it to settle so you can build up that foundation. But it's help. Look, this is kind of starting to flesh out. This is good. I'm actually okay with this. What I'm not okay with is I didn't let that yellow settle. I forgot to bring green and the right wash. But that's okay. We're going to make it work. In the meantime, I can tackle that other shoulder pad and that chest piece. And then we'll worry about a wash later. So next yellow, we're going to be doing our next color. So I'm going to give this golden yellow a try. And you know what? I don't mind messing up here because this is a test run. I'm trying out some different paints I'm not used to. Right now I'm mixing that desert brown and the golden yellow together because I want a one-to-one color transition up. Now what I'm not going to do on this shoulder pad is cover that entire area. I'm going to leave the closer to the inside as dark as I can. If I go over, it's all right. But ideally, I want to leave a little bit of that darker color with that wash on there. And that's all we're doing is we're just layering on top of that. And it looks kind of ugly right now. That's because we still haven't added all the highlights. I've got to get black inside of there. So this is going to pop. You'll see that on Wednesday once once I've got this kind of worked out. So you can see a little bit of that dark yellow in the corner or in the edges towards the gray, brighter as we got on the outside. So my next step will be to take what's left of that. I'm going to mix it with the majority of this yellow. And what's going to happen is, and you'll see I got a lot of paint down. The closer the paint is to the tip or to the brush handle, that's not good because if paint gets down inside of there, it will split the brushes and it really messes things up. So keep that in mind. Don't do what I just did. So I'm actually, with this, I'm going to go in here and I'm not going to get every area. I'm just going to try to get the outer edges. Oh, darn it. Outer edges with this brighter yellow. So I really want this yellow to stand out. And it's going to be kind of hard to see with the video, but when you see these models in person, or when I can take a good studio photograph of them, that yellow is, I'm going to tell you, it's going to be popping. So let me clean off my brush real quick while I'm kind of letting that rest before I tackle it. I'm going to go back to that 1-to-1 mix that I had. I want to apply that to this skull. I don't want to forget about that skull because it needs to be reflective of that tattoo, not the leather. All right, so got these yellows going. I need to make that yellow just a bit brighter. The only way to really achieve that is to go straight on, which I could, but I'm going to actually add a little, let me shake this up, a little bit of white. So this is another color from Monument Hobbies. This is their bold titanium white. Supposedly, and it's looking like it's true, this is the best white on the market. So I've got the white. See it on my brush there, fantastic. I'm going to mix it with that yellow, and I'm getting paint all over my hand because I'm not doing proper paint or practices. Get a little bit more of that white, mix that in there. That is much lighter. I mean, that's like a shade below canary yellow. All right, let me get this out of the way so I'm not getting too much paint on my hand or on the camera, and Jonathan kills me. All right, so here, now with this extra color, we're just going to do a little bit. See, I'm just kind of hard to see, but I'm just putting barely a little line down in these corners. I don't need to do full coverage. I'm just trying to do a little bit so you can kind of see the wear and tear on the that's fine. The edges. All right, so we're gonna skip one step, and we're just gonna do that with this right here. There. It looks white, but it's yellow. Trust me. All right. So the next thing I can do is we're going to do 2 washes since my time is running short. I got about 10 minutes. And once again, for those of you who are just watching and you're like, what the heck is he doing? This is just a test run. That's all I'm doing. I'm just testing out this color scheme. So I'm digging it. I think it's going to be good. So tomorrow I'll put it into practice. I'm going to paint up about 5 guys tomorrow in preparation for Tuesday's show. And Tuesday's show will actually have me showing you the dry brushing technique. Now that I'm going to have the technique down, tomorrow I'll time myself on how long it takes me to do 5 models. And then on Sunday or Wednesday's show, I'll be able to walk you through going, okay, so this is it step by step, and I'll be able to go really fast. And I'll show you how fast you can get models painted up. I think I can get 5 guys painted up in an hour. So get ready for that. Hashtag bullcrap, John, you can't do that. But I think I can. I'm very confident. So what I'm doing is I'm just testing out this Reichland Flesh Wash on that desert yellow, just because I want to see what it looks like. How's the color affected? It looks like the paint is still a little wet. I must have got a little too much on there, but that's okay. I can clean all this up. But like I said before, we want these pouches and holsters and straps and everything to kind of look a little worn. I didn't want to go with brown leather. I wanted to go with a, I wanted to go with the yellow. Now I'm going to have to go back in. I'm going to have to clean up that yellow. Because in some parts, we're going to see actually why this is still wet. We're going to see if we can do a little bit of mixing. And then, yeah. So we're going to come back through when it's dry, clean that up a little bit. Because I'm definitely not happy that didn't turn out. Now looking at that shoulder pad, that is how I want the yellow. And to kind of go ahead and get this out of the way, just because of the timing, I want you guys to see what that black is going to look like. Now this, what I should have done first is actually, and it only worked out great that the model broke off. I wanted actually to do this black first. And you want this black, you don't want, always thin your paints, guys. You don't want this black to be too heavy. It's okay to layer up the black paint because you want it to go on smooth. So that's why I recommend using a medium or a thinner. Medium is kind of like helps suspend it and lets you move it around to kind of play with it. So this yellow is going to, my hands are a little shaky because I've had way too much caffeine, as I said earlier. Couple things to think about, gents, when you're painting. Have the proper music. I know some of you are like, oh, I gotta listen to death metal, or I gotta listen to classical, or whatever. Try to have something that has a nice rhythm to it that gets you in the mood, not only to paint, but gets you in a almost trance-like state. So it's like getting to the rhythm of the night. That way, it's almost like in lockstep, like you're marching, like drummers. You're following the bass player, which is the most important member of the band. Listening to the bass player, you need that rhythm to keep pace with what you're doing. Generally, I like to listen to softer music, even K-pop, J-rock. I know I listen to all the Japanese music. I love it because it has a very unique rhythm to it. I've tried listening to metal, symphonic metal, rock. None of it works for me. But still try to find something that's not going to be distracting you. It's something that you need to be getting into the beat with, and it'll really help your painting. Also, keep your areas nice and clean wherever you're painting. A clean area will really help unclutter your mind while you're painting. A cluttered mind, lots of distractions, knocking things over can really hamper your painting. So keep that in mind. Okay, so got the paint on. So take a look at that black and that yellow. I think that shoulder pad works out great. From here, it looks like I can see the multiple colors. Yellow right there, it looks like it's almost one yellow color. And to help bring this together, just so the other shoulder pad's not lonely. As I said before, the red scorpions, they'll have the insides of their shoulder pads are black. This one, with these Phobos armor, they do not have, the left side does not have a trim. So you're going to have to just paint it whatever unifying color that you would have on the other shoulder pad. So in this case, it's black. Now I'm going to make sure I get underneath there. I want to get all parts, because remember what I said, you want to be 100% consistent with all the painted areas, because that is what helps you win. A good friend of mine, years ago when I worked at Games Workshop, he lost out to another painter. Their painting scores were both fantastic, and to be honest, he probably should have won. Now the reason why he didn't win, it's because I had to judge them pretty harshly, because both their painting jobs were so good, and I actually had to look at the undercarriage of the models and see what see if they were painted. And one was, and my other friend, it wasn't. And he actually had made the comment, well, I learned how to paint. You know, the Forge World guy said, don't worry about painting underneath. Nobody cares. So partly yes, for gaming, yes, nobody's going to care about the undercarriage that they're not going to see. But for a painting contest, you need to hit all those P's and Q's. Because if you don't, it's going to be that one thing that somebody's going to look at that's going to cost you that championship. Going back to the model, I'm going to hit up this red. I want to just brighten up this red. He's got those googly eyes. Come over here. We're just going to add a little bit of red. I think later on I will go back and add a little bit of shading and highlighting. Now these gosh darn, this gosh darn yellow, I'm gonna have to work on this. I'm gonna have to think about it because it is just not working for me. Man, I don't know. I'm gonna have to tinker with this. I am not happy at all. I like the yellow, it's good. I think what I don't like is that I was too stupid and I rushed it. I should have painted that first, targeted everything else, and then came back to it when it was fully dry and hit it with the actual wash that I wanted, which was Seraphim Sepia. And in this case, I used the Reikland Flesh Shade from Citadel. That was a mistake. Oh well, this is a test model. I don't care in the long run. So here's the model. Still a lot of work that needs to get done. Before I log off, before I'm done for the night, I'm gonna go ahead and wash the metal. I'm gonna bring my other colors in, and I'll put this finished model up on FMP Wargamers Facebook page tomorrow. I know it doesn't look like much, but once I'm done with everything, it will pop, because I'm gonna come back in. I'm gonna dry brush and shade in these, and you'll see this on the Wednesday video, or the Wednesday stream. So don't worry, you're not gonna miss out. Talking about missing areas, I'm gonna go ahead and get underneath the shoulder pads. Like I said, we want to win the painting contest, and if they look under my undercarriage, they're going to see that I didn't paint it. So we're going to get in there, and we're just going to paint it with this darker color and call it a day. All right, so that is pretty much me doing a test model. Not happy with some of the outcome here. I got some work I need to do. I really got to think about that yellow. I think it can. Man, I really don't know. I'm just going to get this pistol grip here painted black, because I will build up from there. Maybe, yeah, I'll probably leave it black, just so it just helps break up the rest of the model. Pistol grip over here. Always get these pistol grips. Don't skimp on that. Try not to skip on any painting, really. Alright, so got it in my black there. Gonna try to careful there. Perfect. Come on the back side, pistol grip, voila. Bam. So, not great, but it is a good start. Actually, okay, one more thing. 10:33, we're still good. I mean, it's not like I have a time restraint, but I'm trying to keep these videos down to about an hour and a half for you guys, just for your own sakes, for my sake. So I'm going to take this little bit of the white, take a little bit of that red. I'm going to get almost a pink color. So I'm going to have that up to the side. I'm going to take this red, mix it in with this yellow, because I want to kind of get a yellowish color. I'm not sure which one is going to be the best. So we're going to brighten this up. Yeah, we're going to brighten that up. I like that. And then we're going to come back to that pink and kind of move it around that scope. And like I said, it's hard to see. And then a little bit of white in there for the glare. And there we go. It's got its little glare on that. I'll worry about the glare on the other one later. So the last thing I'm going to do is use my same brush here. Let me shake up my Nuln Oil. And we're going to apply it to the metal. We're going to call it a night. I don't care how thick I'm going to get this Nuln Oil. I want to make sure that the metal gets toned down because I'm going to bring it back up. But ideally right now I need it to be as dark as possible because it'll be easier to brighten it back up. I want it to be dark because these guys are, like I said, commandos, and so their weapons will have a muted look. They're not going to be nickel plated, so people could say, oh, look at that, a shiny, and shoot the hell out of you. So get that. Sorry, big fat fingers here. Alright, so last thing, get a little bit there because we put those comms right there, or I'm assuming some sort of comms. And voila. One little bit. You don't need too much in these areas. Alright, so actually I'm going to do one more thing. I want to test out that the flesh tone, one more level of flesh tone right here. And then that's it, I promise. I am logging off. Am I good there so you can see? I tried to adjust this camera next time. I'm going to watch this video, see how much closer I need to get with the way that I'm painting. I am not used to this camera. Okay, so that flesh looks pretty good. Looks like I definitely needed to do 2 layers. I probably could have avoided that if I went with like Bugman's Glow or something. So here's the model. Not super fantabulous. Clean. And I got that one paint up in about an hour and a half. Am I going to use all this technique again? In some cases, yes, I will. But man, I really am just not happy with that yellow. And I'm probably making it worse. Yeah, we're just going to go ahead and paint over this one more time. Like I said, this is a test model. I'm going to try to avoid that crevice right there because I can see some of that Reikland flesh wash is built up there. And part of the problem with this yellow is I might not have put on a thick enough coat, and I did not give it a proper dry time, did not have the proper wash that I wanted to use. So a number of factors there. So there, it's certified. I'm going to do the same thing over here because we are, yeah, I think that's it. I'm seeing the way that the paint's going on now. I think that's the issue I had. So I did not have this paint was not put down in a sufficient quantity to establish a base, a nice base for it. And that's why I got the bad color effect. So no worries. We're going to go ahead and fix that up right now by reapplying a thinned down version, but it's already going to just basically build up onto that layer that I've already put down. So basically I'm just wasting a little bit of time having to relayer this color. That's a shame, but that's all right. I know it looks gaudy, but trust me, it's going to look amazing. So that's it. Just a little bit, there's still a little bit more work to do. I got to do those grenades. I know. Oops. Grenades have got to been done. I've got to redo these pouches. But I think actually the more I look at it, I think those pouches are going to be ideal. This model is going to get nice and balanced because once I paint this grenade over here, the grenade's up here, and I fix this yellow, I think it's gonna come together, and I think it's gonna be amazing. It's gonna be a good model. It's gonna be a good color scheme. I'm actually happy about this now, but I'm really happy with how the shoulder pad came out. I got to fix that black a little bit. I got to put another thin layer down so I can see some striations, a little bit messed up. But up close, when you see this model and you see the extra layering on there, it really stands out, and I think it's really cool. So I'm happy with that. I'm a happy man. All right, guys. Sorry for the late night. Sorry that the video was not super awesome, but like I said, this was just me simply, let's see if I can get closer there, simply testing out some color schemes. So I got a little bit of work to do on the model. Got a lot of cleanup to do, and when I go back through with this model, we will be using the different dry brush and some proper paints, and all will be well. So see you guys next time. Make sure you like and subscribe. Tell your friends, tell your family. Just get them on there so they can see what you're doing, what you're talking about all the time, or when they come over and they see these models in your case, or you're trying to hide them in the closet or something, you're embarrassed for whatever reason. Let them see what you're talking about. Let them make fun of me, but see the cool stuff that we work on. So I will get this cleaned up. So on Wednesday, 8 o'clock, you will see the final version of this model cleaned up. And then by Wednesday, I will have already 5 guys done and painted following the techniques I'm talking about. And I'll have perfected how to walk you guys through the steps. And we'll batch paint 5 infiltrators. And if we have time, we might start on the suppressors. But right now, just 5 infiltrators on Wednesday. I think that's all we'll have time for in an hour and a half. Beyond that, then Sunday, I should have 20 infiltrators done by next Sunday. So all I'm going to show you next Sunday is 3 to 6 suppressors. I'm going to probably shoot for 6. I'll have my test one done. So I'll do 5, and that'll actually put me up a total of 26 models out of my 65. So yeah, I'll be ahead of the schedule. So if I can stick to that, that'll be great. I'll be ahead of schedules. All right, so thanks guys for subscribing. Thanks for coming on and listening to me rant on and forget about paints and kind of screw this up a little bit. But you'll see the perfected project later. So thanks again. Like, subscribe, and support us. Thank you much.